So good morning, everybody. So today we're just going to give a little talk about strategic communications. The idea isn't for us really to be preaching. We run a media production company, and we just want to share some of the stuff we do from a strategy point of view and the way we communicate that internally and externally. So just to give you a little bit more about me, my name is Greg Goodall. I'm one of the co-founders of AWOL. My background is I did a degree in leadership. I worked as an area manager and managed 4 central London supermarkets for Lidl. I then went on to work in the Middle East. I set up a government-led program in the Middle East, working for the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi. I then came back to this country about 7 years ago and set up AWOL Media Productions with Rich.
Yeah, so Rich Burnett, I'm a Commercial Operations Director at AWOL TV up in Kirkham. My background really, I started off English literature up in Lancaster Uni, no idea why, it's just sort of tends to happen when you go to university. After which time I joined the Royal Marines, spent some years there as an officer, so my forte was kind of your strategy and tactics. After which time spent a little bit of time in marketing before moving to BAE Systems, so I spent a good 4 years there in commercial and procurement.
So just to let you know before we get going to this whole presentation that Steve, our head of media at the back there, is going to be filming this presentation. You don't need to worry, he's not going to be filming you, but the reason why we're doing that is because we are literally laying ourselves bare today to you guys to have a look at from a strategic point of view. So you'll be able to use this as an e-learning resource if you want to afterwards, if you find what we're saying interesting. You'll also be able to get online to a portal which Phil will send out later on, which will have all our strategy documents on there. It'll have our communication documents. It'll have our marketing plan on there. It'll have anything that you might find interesting. So you're very welcome to have that and download it. It's free to do.
I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
What Dr. Martin Luther King did in that speech was demonstrate that he had a strategic end state. What he was able to do was to effectively communicate that to every single person in America. So it was unquestionable as to where the movement that he headed up was pointing. Everybody knew it, so everybody knew where they were going and what they were doing. Now, Daniel Goleman, the author of the world-famous book Emotional Intelligence and one of the world's leading authorities on the subject of EQ, said that people's emotions are rarely put into words. Far more often they are expressed through other cues. And the key to intuiting another's feeling is in the ability to read non-verbal channels, tones of voice, gestures, facial expressions and the like. So if you want to communicate something to everybody in your company or organisation, you've got a number of options. Now, as a specialist in communications, I would absolutely always argue that video, live or pre-recorded, is the most effective way to do it, other than being physically in the same room. So what I did there was just give a little top line of what an end state might be or look like. But then we'll talk a little bit more about strategy and where end state fits in a minute. The reason why we've been doing that over the last couple of months is because we've created a little web series which we put out and let people watch, and it seems to be doing okay. Why would you bother listening to us? Well, we've worked with quite a number of different businesses. I say we've been going for about 7 years. We've worked with companies predominantly in London originally. When we first started off, we got a couple of lucky breaks and we did really well. We were working with American Express, travelling around the world, doing really cool things. You know, we work with the BBC. We've just started recently working with more companies in the Northwest. Now, it doesn't mean we only just work with really big names that you've all heard of, but we also work with small businesses as well, and we'd love to work with everyone in this room, obviously.
We put together basically a definition. I mean, there's not much kind of thinking outside of the military on strategic communications. There's a lot of definitions for business strategy out there and communications as well, as I'm sure you all use and know. But something we've found really when we sell video or when we talk about or plan video is that we always go from the client asking us, I want you to make a video and I want it to be about this, and we always have to dial it back to the end state. What are you looking to get out of it? So we put a little bit of a definition together, and it goes a bit like this: understanding strategy and developing effective communications in order to achieve a predefined end state. And your strategy is obviously, as you all written down, where your business is going, what it's doing. The communications is how you get across internally or externally what you're doing and what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to sell, essentially. And then obviously the end state is something that Martin Luther King puts across. It's essentially your vision, your kind of blue sky thinking. So we've kind of linked those three here. And I'll be interested to hear afterwards what any of you guys think about this definition, or if you've got any alternatives.
So I just wanted to talk to you guys about strategy, because I find that the word strategy is massively overused. I think it's used in the wrong context quite a lot. There's 3 levels in business, and if you're someone like us, in our business, we've got 7 people who are permanently employed with our business and another 2 who work part-time. But I work at every level of the business. So I work at the strategic level, which is a top level. If you like, it's a policy level where I make policy and decide what's going to happen in my company. I also work at the operational level, where we decide what the plan is. So operational is very much a planning phase. And then, obviously, at the tactical level, I work at the tactical level as well, because I deliver on occasions. So within our industry, film, people regularly will say, oh, I've got this great strategy to launch this film. Is that the correct terminology? Because is a video a strategic thing? No, it's not. It's just a tactical application. But if you understand the strategy, you can support the end state by creating great communications through tactical use of video and that sort of thing.
This is actually AWOL's strategy, AWOL Media Productions, that is, and it lays out everything from start to finish. I've got some bits that zoom in here. So there is our end state. This is what we're looking to do with the business, not with our personal lives. We're not talking about selling the business or anything like that. We're talking about where the business would look in a blue sky. And it's to be the most valued providers of media production and strategic communications in the industry. We put a lot of value on the word value. We do a lot of charity work. We do a lot of work that we measure in terms of value. So when we make a film for some of our charity clients, like the RF Benevolent Fund, there's a guy who's had both of his legs blown off. His life has been changed, and he wants to communicate that. And a lot of the time when we interview him, it actually comes across as almost counselling. And the message that he sends out is inspirational to so many people. And we measure value in many ways, not just money. Our mission statement is mine and Greg's direction down to the business, and it's effectively to deliver what's on the screen behind me there. And what we do, our elevator pitch. So we do 4 things at AWOL. We understand our client's business strategy in order to shape their comms plan or work within it, and deliver the effective media productions in support of their end state.
So what I'm going to talk about now is a very, very important thing to all businesses. Okay, so it is your centre of gravity. Okay, this is, if you imagine a table, the leg that if you kick this leg out of the table, the whole table is going to fall over. Now, you could look at us and go, oh, they're all only interested in money. But as I said, we're laying ourselves bare here. The most important thing to me in my business is actually, personally, it's my people. Because if I look after my people, I get great service and I get great performance out of them. And that means my clients are happy. And it means I can portray my end state, which is be the most valued provider of media production. That's one of the biggest things I want to do. So I have to look after my people. But I can't look after my people if I don't pay them. If I don't pay them correctly and I don't pay them on time. Therefore, my business, and probably a lot of these businesses in this room, will totally depend on revenue. But that doesn't mean that you have to depend on revenue as a business or even as a movement. So, quick question, I'll take 3 answers. Martin Luther King, what was his centre of gravity, do you think? He's one that probably isn't revenue. So what did anybody, let's hazard a guess. Go again? Faith. That's a good shout, I think. It's probably a very good point. Anyone else? People. Brilliant. And anyone else? One more. Again? Equality. Okay, I like that. I'd say they're all very good points. To me, his centre of gravity strikes me as momentum. If he didn't have momentum and the things going on, he could not have built all this stuff. Now, he definitely required faith. He definitely required equality. That was a dream. You know, he had that end state of equality. But to me, and we could argue about it all day, momentum was his centre of gravity. Failure to keep momentum going, the whole thing fails. And the government of the day could have stopped it. They could have actually crushed it. But the people rose up, as you mentioned, and momentum carried it forwards. That's what I would argue anyway.
So our principles, we have a great office culture, and I'm sure many of you guys do too. We're a creative business, essentially, so we have this passionate creativity. Anyone can say anything at any time without fear of reprisal, and that's something me and Greg really push. We relentlessly pursue excellence. The job isn't done until it's done. Obviously, you've got to deliver it at some point, but we've got to aspire to that at all times. And then finally, the focus on the end state, and that comes back to everything that our company's about. Because why are you making it? And if you aren't delivering the thing that you were actually making it for, there's no point. 4 business arms. We have our marketing and sales, we have our creative, and we have our operation, and then we've got the corporate function, which is your finance and everything. Each of these business arms has a mission which is dictated down, and then the head of each area has their essentially their lower level actions.
So just on this then, if we look, we'll just go through them all as we're talking now, but if you look at them, you'll see, so what we do is in the operational side of things, so we have our strategic state at the top there, And then we're coming down to the operational level where we're going, right, we need to have a creative team who do this. Okay, so we give the production team, deliver the right crew at the right time, with the right kit, blah, 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 blah. That's what we need him to do. So that's what I give to Steve. I say, Steve, that's what I need. And then Steve comes back to me and he gives me his tactical level operations. So he needs to deliver those, everything at the bottom there. He needs to give support as required on the sales consultancy. He needs to do all that stuff because that's what I've asked him to do. So it's kind of like quite useful to just take this model and maybe have a go at writing it yourself. If you haven't done so, it's seriously worth doing it. One thing I would just point out is that when you do this, and I think we were guilty of it in the start, you have to realize a couple of things. Firstly, your end state can change at any time. It can change at any time. Things change in life. So your end state of your business may well change, and you have to recognize that can actually happen. Certainly for us, it did.
Yeah, just to spin a bit of a story on that one. When me and Greg set up the business, we first said, how will we know when we've made it, basically? And we said, right, okay, well, we're in a venture film crew, because that's what we started as. We're going to be flying around the world, making cool videos, and we're going to be working with Bear Grylls. Right, okay, sounds good. So a week and a day later, we'd just come off a shoot with Bear Grylls.
It was 1 year. 1 year in a 1 day. But yeah.
A week and a day? Yeah, sorry. That's a bit quick. We were drying our kit off in a hotel room, getting ready to board a flight to America where we were working with Amex. So we basically ticked them both off. And we looked at ourselves and we said, have we made it? Absolutely not. We're absolutely nowhere near. So we had to revise that quite quick.
It's just worth realizing that, in this industry, and certainly as small businesses, you may find that you work at every level of the operation. So it's always worth just revisiting your strategy.
Okay, so this is our acid test, and it's basically just something you hold yourself to. Does the activity we're about to undertake support the company's centre of gravity and the strategic end state? If it does, then great. If it doesn't, you need to have a bloody good reason why not. Heather Hodgson at the back of the room is our marketing manager. She's here. She's generally made us kind of look at ourselves in terms of comms and how we're actually presenting our own business rather than just customer stuff, which is a real pitfall of all small businesses that are looking to grow. Her marketing plan has been created by herself on our direction, and that's actually available. 90% of it is online, so if you guys want to follow the link at the end that we're going to send, you're absolutely welcome to do so, and that's what it contains. Okay, yeah, just to sum up, before any questions, thank you very much for listening to us. I hope it's made some sense and helped you in any way at all. There's a landing page down there. It's awoltv.com/mystratcams, and it contains all those resources, which I do hope you'd be interested in.